That's a good Nintendo game. Like, you think, oh, they're out of ideas, and then they show up with Pikmin. Woo, Pikmin. That's pretty fun.
I think the newest Pikmin game, or the innovative new good big series game that they're gonna make, if it ends up well, I think that one game with the squids, that was on E3, I think that can turn out really good.
Yeah, games like that kind of remind me of like the 64 era, where you really had 4-player console split screen, like of course GoldenEye and Mario Kart 64, and everyone, you only had one. You actually went out and bought 4 controllers because you needed them, because you had more than 4 people who wanted to play. I don't know how well it will work in today's video game climate, but we'll see. It looks fun.
Wait.
I'll play it.
Was that GoldenEye? Was that on the GameCube? Maybe that was
GoldenEye wasn't. Maybe they had a remake of it, but there might have been a James Bond game, and people constantly get conned into buying a new James Bond game because they think it's going to be GoldenEye, and it's not. It'll never happen again. There's only one GoldenEye. It shows that you can have a first-person shooter on a console, and Halo and Call of Duty and all the popular console, Destiny, need to every day kiss James Bond's 64-bit rendered triangle feet, because if there wasn't a GoldenEye, there wouldn't be any of these console games that are first-person shooters.
I want a really good first-person shooter that's like not actual like guns and stuff. It's like something silly, like the paint one. That's part of the reason
like
I
Hey
really
You
like
Pikachu?
That. No.
You know what's funny about Hey You Pikachu?
What?
They could have just made it dogs, and it's Nintendogs.
Whoa.
Yeah, the GameCube was great. Is that expensive now? You can get your hands on a GameCube pretty cheaply. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely the controllers, not just the design of the wired controller. Those Wavebird wireless controllers. Oh my gosh, a wireless controller that actually works. Again, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Just kidding, nobody has one of those. All the standard with wireless controls of today need to go, wow, that Wavebird wireless controller, that was legit. Because before that, it was crappy infrared controllers. And then even in the PlayStation 2, Xbox era, you had similar technology. It just didn't work as seamless. Like, you didn't have first-party wireless controllers. So they didn't work worth the crap. And then the Wavebird showed up, and you're like, this is awesome. Like, I actually like the feel of them because they kind of have a weight from the battery. So it does, like, the controller doesn't want to flip forward. I want to, like, hold it up.
Yeah. I actually think, I don't know if it's like given to you or you just like they give it to you for it, but in the Super Smash Brothers tournaments they use those.
Yeah, of course.
Like so much more than they don't even use the Wii controller.
Oh well, you can't have the control that any real stick, or a gamepad has with a nunchuck and a Wii remote. And there's no way to do that wired, because even in the future that we live in today and you have everything's wireless, wired works better. You don't have interference, you don't have lag, and honestly, in fighting games, a few milliseconds is the difference between winning and losing. So they need it to be directly hardwired into that console. So, yeah.
Yeah, did you see that Jay Witz video?
Which one?
The Donkey Konga one. That was another game we had. That was a really good game.
That Donkey Konga? Yeah, I remember. I think you bought that, accessory in that game after the fact. Because that would be something I would buy. But it was pretty fun. I like playing that. Back when you were the custodian of the GameCube. Oh, man. You know what my first video game system was?
The NES or SNES?
I'm going to let you really guess. Think hard. Think long and hard.
Oh, wait. You said it was a Sega system. Was it the Genesis?
I'm not the Jay Witz. No, Nintendo for life, dude. But no, not a Sega. No one had a Sega as their first system, except maybe that kid I gave the Dreamcast to. But no. You're one more guess, because you're probably not gonna guess.
Game Boy?
Oh, it's nice that you think I'm a lot younger than I am, but no. Nintendo, the regular Nintendo, was in the Sears catalog. And back in the day, instead of just looking at people telling you what cool stuff you should buy, you'd get a catalog around Christmas time and it had all the toys. It was awesome. It's an experience that you're a less of a person for not being able to enjoy. But there's still catalogs now. You know how like they have like the little book at Christmas for Toys R Us, and you and Dakota and Loki circle stuff that you want in it, right? But this was like a phone book of stuff. It had stuff for like dresses and tires for mom and dad, and awesome toys. And they like photograph like the toys in like a battle, like, oh, get all these He-Man toys or all these Transformers toys, and it showed them like somebody's job was to set up all these toys and take a picture of. And I'm flipping through, and I get to the video game section, and I'm about that age that, like, oh, I should play video games instead of playing in the sandbox. I guess maybe 6, just about to turn 6. And I flip the page, and there's a robot. There's a robot sitting there. His name's
What? No.
Yeah.
You didn't get the Rob, did you?
It's Rob the robot. And I'm like, oh my God, mom. And she's like, what? I was like, now, I need you to listen to me very importantly. I've seen Transformers, and I've seen Star Wars that has droids in it, and we need a robot. It would make our lives so much easier. And she's like, really? That looks like a video game. And I'm like, yeah, that's just another awesome effect of having a robot. It comes with a video game system. And she's like, well, we'll think about it. And this was pretty far away from Christmas, so it's still summer, essentially. It's still hot outside. I'm like, oh man, I sure wish I would get that Nintendo. And I probably bothered her about it one too many times, and she's like, Jonathan. I'm like, what? I'm like, I got something for you. And I'm like, what is it? Is it a grilled cheese sandwich? No. And she goes into this one of her antique pieces of furniture, and she pulls out the strangest creature I've ever seen. Now, it's not a Nintendo, because I gotta wait for Christmas for the Nintendo. But months before that, she emerges a piece of electronic antiquity. It was a Radio Shack Pong system. Now, this isn't Atari. This doesn't even have cartridges. This is literally a beige and brown molded thing of plastic with 2 hardwire controllers and fun little switches and a way to plug it into your TV that you screw in your TV with 2 screws. It doesn't even have the coaxial adapter, which is fine because our TV still had that because we're living in the 70s, right? So we screw it into the TV, and you turn it on, and it's Pong. And you can play 3 different versions of Pong. You can play Pong with a friend, traditional Pong, where you're boop, 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 boop. Ah, I got 1 point. You suck. Or say you're like are a nerd and don't have any friends that will play Pong with you. You have table tennis or solo Pong, which is essentially playing Pong against the wall. With no score, you just play until you're bored. And then you had hockey, which gave you another Pong bar and like kind of obstacles in the way. It was really cool because it was kind of like foosball. Because you moved the flipper, because all the controller was like a lever that you moved up and down. That was the Pong controller. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, you don't need video game regular Nintendo with a robot. You don't need Atari 2600 with E.T. and Yard's Revenge. Me and my friends played the heck out of this Pong game because it's a video game and they're fun. And it goes boop, 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 boop. And it's the most simple a game could get. And the games don't get much more fun than that because you can verse your friends, you can play alone, or you can kind of mix it up and have a hockey game of Pong. And that bizarre looking thing, it didn't even look like something it looked like a fondue set. It didn't look like electronics you would hook to your television. It was just, and apparently like these Pong home consoles were a thing. Like, I don't know, years before they were essentially the first video games people would get. They had to be really cheap. And being Radio Shack, I mean, they were like something they wheeled out at Christmas time like they do now with remote control cars and stuff. But yeah, that's the first video game that I played at home. So, no Nintendo, no Sega. Come on, Sega. I feel sorry for the kid whose first experience was with blast processing. Because if it's not Nintendo, it's not right, man. You're gonna live in this world jaded if you didn't start off with a Nintendo product. Like, there's probably some kid who's like, my first system was the X-Bone. You're like, you sad, pathetic soul. Yeah, give that kid a Game Boy, like the first Game Boy with
That's
Tetris.
the equivalent.
And he's like, oh my god, this is so much fun.
Yeah, that's what a video game should be.
Yeah, it should. It's like you should pick it up and play it and be like, yeah, this is so much fun. And like, I wish I could play my video game, but the internet's down because it's always on. Well, I mean, that's the thing. The thrills that you had with that GameCube, I had exactly with that Pong console. And later, when I got the Nintendo with Rob and Gyromite and Duck Hunt. That's right, it didn't come with a Mario game. I had just as much fun. And then a kid came over and he had Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers. And I looked at my mom and I said, "What? Do you not love me?" That he got Super Mario Brothers. This game is the most amazing game that I've ever seen. He walked up to a turtle and he jumped on him because in Gyromite you can't jump. You're a slave to the little pistons. You're a slave to that robot controls you. It's like the Matrix. You created the robot, but now the robot controls you, and you wait for that stupid Rob to look at you and be like, "You're gonna get killed. You're gonna get killed by that booger creature." I'm like, "Come on, Rob, you gotta go. Step it up, Rob." And he's like, "Oops, I dropped the spinning top. Oh, we're all doomed." And you're like, "Rob, you killed us all. You killed us all." And he's like, "I will live on forever. I am electronic." And you're like, "No, you're not." And you take him apart. And you're like, What now, Rob? You didn't even have a brain. Your head is empty."
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that first video game. Oh. So awesome. So awesome. It sucks. You should have gotten a little, I don't know. I guess the GameCube is the right system for you to have it. Because, it came out 6 months before you were born. So, good old Nintendo. I wonder what a Nintendo, if a Nintendo Pong, a console that's no cartridges, it's just Nintendo's brand of Pong console, what would be on that? Like Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers and I don't know, what's some other pre-Nintendo games? That'd be awesome. Those would be super collectible now.
Pre-Nintendo?
Yeah, like pre-Nintendo system, like pre-NES. Nintendo developed games like Donkey Kong is before the NES. Yeah. Did you have that SpongeBob plug-in video game before you had the GameCube? That game was pretty fun, and that's exactly what those Pong games were. A controller, for the most part.